This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. We are going to give participants a couple more minutes to join and we'll go ahead and get started shortly. Thank you. Good morning and thank you for joining us. We are going to give the participants a couple more minutes to join and we'll get started shortly. Thank you.
All right, are we ready? I'm sideways. That's facing you. Okay, that's good. Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our virtual and in-person walking audit of Collins Avenue. So very excited to have quite a nice group here today. I think we've got some more people joining us now. We are expecting, I know we're expecting people from the city of Miami Beach as well as the police department. But we've got a lot of the neighborhood residents here and the Miami Beach Neighborhood Association or the Mid Beach Neighborhood Association. Very excited to be out here today. And as we're walking along, what we're going to be looking for, of course, we've given everyone kind of the list of things that they might want to be looking for, but we're going to be looking for things like walking conditions, even the speed of traffic, how that's making people feel, even just the heat of the day and how it feels as we're walking along, whether we feel comfortable, whether we feel nervous, but just to gauge the conditions and see, what issues are existing, or maybe also what are the good things that we see out here that we don't want to lose. So a lot of good things that we're going to be doing here today. Very excited to have people joining virtually, and I hope that you enjoy this. And now Maria is going to cover the rules of engagement for those people joining online.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'll be going over the rules of engagement for those joining online. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. Please ensure that all microphones and cameras other than the presenters are muted and off and remain muted and off until the completion of the audit. If you wish to ask a question or leave a comment, please do so by typing it in the chat box. If you are leaving a comment about a specific location, be sure to specify the location you're referring to. Online questions will be responded to in the order they are received and if time permits. If we do not get to your question, we will follow up with you after the meeting. And if you experience any technical difficulties, please call the 1-800 number on the chat box, which is 1-800-418-0524. This number is also listed on the chat box with any direct contact information. Thank you, and I'll pass it over to Tiffany again.
All right, we have a very big group actually, so we're going to be splitting up into two. But first, we're going to be walking down to this intersection down here at the end, and we're going to then be splitting up into two groups as we walk back down the corridor. So this is going to be exciting. So I'm going to just give us a moment to start bringing the group down. So all right, 1 second.
We'll start halfway down.
Right, everyone. Right now we are just meeting at the terminus, I guess, of the audit, and we are just waiting for everyone to gather here so that we can separate into two groups and start walking in the opposite direction along the corridor. I'm very impressed by the size of this group, but because of the size of this group, we are going to, because of the size of this group, we are going to split up into two groups, okay?
One quick picture.
Oh yes, let's take a quick picture. This is too good. All right, turned out good. All right. So Dan Hardy. All right.
So one is going to be your group, and one is
Yep. Yep. Yes.
But other than that, we're going to put it kind of randomly.
Mm-hmm. We're doing this side, going this side, and then we'll cross at some. We're gonna. The other side. Can we do one?
We're breaking up into groups right now and we'll get started to walk shortly.
All right. So Dan's group is gonna go. They're gonna take a quick picture, and then they're gonna go, and then we're gonna start the second group. All right, Dan, I'm gonna let you lead. You can go whichever. We're breaking it up somewhat, so this is good.
we're going this side only.
We're gonna wait until they're a little bit ahead. But what we can do right now, what I encourage you guys to do right now is take a look at the intersection. While they're walking, let's take a look at this intersection, right? We want to just, maybe we could even push, well, you can even see the timing of it and see what, just get it kind of, I guess, evaluate the conditions here. And you can even see the cyclist on the other side, and make note of what the cyclist, how the cyclist is riding, and or even what we can even watch these ladies over here and see what conditions they're dealing with. So make note of what you're maybe seeing and what improvements can be made. We're already seeing, as far as from my standpoint, but I'm also an ADA person, so Americans with Disabilities Act. It's part of my position, so I can already look. at the conditions of the detectable warning surfaces and see that this probably needs to be upgraded a little bit. And also the landing, there's no level landing at the back of the, I mean, there's a level landing here, but if a wheelchair user is wanting to face in the direction, they're inclined to be pulled in the direction. So this is not ideal. But we can see, thankfully the lady's got across. But yeah, take note of what you're seeing here. And anything that you consider would be good improvements. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely some obstructions. And look how difficult this gentleman's going to be handling the sidewalk, especially with us on it. So let's just back up a little bit. And well, he might be crossing here. Okay, in that case, let's start walking. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Positive.
yeah.
Right there, that crosswalk in the median. I like the not the exact term, but
Refuge
the nose,
island.
The nose that kind of protects
Yeah.
the pedestrian.
That's a refuge island. We try to make those refuge islands at least 6 feet wide, especially so it can accommodate a cyclist that's waiting there. But we like those refuge islands to be a certain width so that it can be comfortable for someone if they have to make a two-stage crossing. All right, so let's keep walking. Let's start walking in this direction, and feel free at any point, if anybody sees anything, good or bad, let us hear it. Let us hear it. Yeah, if I'm backing up and I run into something, I guess that's an indication that we have a problem. But in the sidewalk. Yeah, not ideal to have the utility placement right in the sidewalk. It not only, it takes away that clear space that could be used for cyclists or for pedestrians or wheelchair users, people walking side by side, makes it really challenging. Some good things you might want to see though, and you can see it good or bad. A good thing might be a grass buffer, right? Grass buffer is an extra protection against the vehicular traffic, especially if they're high moving, and the pedestrians. Of course, it's nice to have some shade, but I guess we want to question where the shade's coming from. Are the palm trees the things providing the shade, or is it the business or the buildings themselves?
Depends on time of day.
It depends on the time of day. But of course, landscaping is beautiful. We all want landscaping. That's a good thing. It makes it aesthetically pleasing. It also cools off as we're walking along a little bit, provides a little bit more of a, less of the heat island effect, less of that sun beating off of the concrete. And then another thing, please take a note of the bus shelter and the placement of that bus shelter, right? Is that bus shelter in a convenient spot that's going to get people to where they need to be? Where are the people that are getting dropped off at that bus shelter? Where are they going, right? Where do you think they're going? Does anybody have a clue where you think they might be going? Going home? Okay. Yeah, or if they're coming, if they're being dropped off here. Yeah, at the hotels, where do they cross? Where do they have to cross to get to the hotels? Right, they have to go down that way and then go, yeah. Yeah, so that might not be the most convenient. But, oh, so sorry, ladies. Also, I mean, one thing I notice sometimes too, that's something that's not always ideal. Yeah. And this actually is not, this right here is a tripping hazard. Definitely as I dig a bigger hole into it, but that is a tripping hazard. Anything greater than a quarter of an inch is actually not ADA compliant. So that I guarantee is a quarter of an inch. So that's an ADA compliance issue. All right, let's keep walking. And definitely, I hope everyone's taking notes of what you're seeing.
Okay, well, Tiffany's experiencing some technical difficulties with audio. I think you might be unmuted, but we can continue walking. All right, we're gonna go ahead and keep walking while we get situated.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. So we're gonna wait until my phone comes back up. In the meantime, I'm gonna use Monica's. So sorry about that little technical issue. Definitely, as we're sitting, this is a good, I guess, a good feeler of how it feels when we don't have any shade, because we happen to stop in a place that absolutely has no shade. Not horrible, but it's not exactly pleasant. And I have to say that I think that vehicle is not going the speed limit. But let's keep walking. And let's actually see what we're dealing with here, though. I've noticed that these people have a light here, but as we're walking across the sidewalk, do we have any indication that we need to stop as a pedestrian? No. So this is something that really should be addressed, because as we're walking, now we've got the red. And so I'll try to keep moving fairly slow. Okay.
Also, most of those people that bus stop go to work, they should have a bus stop here instead.
See, yeah, that's good to know. So because a lot of those people that are using that bus, what he had mentioned, a lot of people that are using that bus to get to work happen to work at Fountain Blue, maybe Eden Rock. Perhaps it would be a better placement actually not to have the bus stop at that other location, but perhaps pull it back to a more convenient location for them. In addition, you can see that this intersection has literally, one crossing opportunity, but if someone happens to make that end of the leg of the intersection, I guess the far side of the intersection, and they happen to see that, oh, it might be an opportunity for me to cross, might encourage them to cross at that point instead of the point that they really should be, which is the marked crossing. So something else to note. One thing that I think Matthew had mentioned is the median nose. So that, huh? Oh, that's another thing. And this is
you can cross here. There's no ramp.
Yeah. So
it's pushing people to go into the driveway.
yeah. So yeah, no ramp here, but also this right now with the current configuration, it wouldn't actually allow that median refuge, because if you pull that nose out, it wouldn't give the enough space to allow that U-turn movement. which is allowed right now. Yeah, if you move back the crosswalk, that would be a potential opportunity. But in the current configuration, we wouldn't be able to extend that median nose. Yeah, pushing back the. Yep.
Seems that one of the lanes are the center lane is towards the median.
Well, and I also wonder, because of this configuration here, what the conditions are in heavy rains for people using this crosswalk, because it's pulling all the water to the edge here, probably forcing it to puddle in a rush here. Definitely not an ideal solution to put on a pedestrian facility. All right, let's keep walking.
Probably not out.
Well, let's hope not. But unfortunately, though, a lot of, especially transit users, or those people trying to get to work, they don't have an option. They're using what's available to them.
What's your passage?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, thanks. All right. And we have I see we've got a bike rack here, conveniently located in the middle of the sidewalk. It's nice that we have bike parking, but is this the best placement for it? I probably would argue that it is not. Another, yeah, that's typically what is the configuration. But if you did have it the other direction, you tie your bike. If it were flipped and you tie your bike, that would be more width it's taking up.
It could be right here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bike rack. Somebody requested it because they needed a bike. Maybe someone requested it because they needed a bike rack to put their bike. Maybe they bike to work. I can't tell you exactly, but yeah, not necessarily the ideal placement. I would hope that that bike facilities could be provided at the hotels that employ people. Yeah, definitely an odd place for a bike rack.
Probably somebody with a bike tattoo on their bicep did it.
Are you?
You never know. Like, for instance, there's no place for me to park my bike. I happened to be meeting people just today, and there was no bike racks.
Oh, exactly. No, I've been forced in a lot of situations to tie it to a tree or to a sign, and we know that's not necessarily ideal, and it's not intended for a bike rack. So it is nice to know confidently that you're putting your bike where it's intended to be. Also, when you are locking your bike up to something, sorry to continue this conversation, you do want to put it in a place that is visible, so it's not hidden away and easily stealable, I guess. You don't want someone to easily be able to steal it because it's at a hiding spot where they won't be able to see as they cut that wire. So I would say that might not be the best place because it's some place that can be easily concealed. All right, but definitely as you're walking along, they've done a pretty good job here for people walking along. We do have some taller people that may get impacted by these, but they have done a good job at making sure that they are pretty much trimmed back. Yeah. It is supposed to have a 7-foot clearance.
All people get no sympathy.
Yeah. All right. 7 foot, yeah.
Is that the ASA 3, something like that? ASA 3000 or some sort of arborist?
Oh, that's actually for ADA. Okay. So if somebody is visually impaired and they're walking around using a cane, they don't get smacked in the face by brush or by a sign or something else. But we'll keep moving along. Again, pay attention to the crossing opportunities that exist, or if anything happens to be on the other side of the road that people might need to get to, or a tree that I might be running into. And even pay attention to how people are maneuvering around us in the opposite direction. Yeah, thank you. This is another driveway, right? And I'm not sure how many vehicles come in and out of this driveway every day. Oh, I don't know how many vehicles come in and out of this driveway every day. But if this is something that's really heavily utilized, am I safe as I'm walking across this? If a visually impaired person with a white cane were walking along this stretch of driveway, are they safe? Were they given warning that they were entering into a driveway that is heavily used? In this case, no. But if the driveway isn't really heavily used, then it might not need that argument. But as what I'm seeing from right now, I've already seen 2 vehicles pass getting into this driveway just in the short stretch that we were going through it. All right. How about also pay attention to trash? Yeah. Yep. Pay attention to trash too. I know that we all value our community. We all want it to be clean, but how do we make sure our communities are clean, right?
So,
All right.
I know that city planning staff have raised concerns about widths of driveway entrances and exits or the curb cuts in recent times.
Yeah.
They actually have made some of the developers
Narrow their way.
projects out of that.
Yeah, because that is a very wide crossing. Yeah. You're right. Those crossings are very wide, meaning that we are we are vulnerable as we're crossing the full width. And the longer that width is, the longer the points of us being vulnerable are. We want to try to shorten those and minimize those where it's possible. All right. And I'm sure there's some good conversation happening, and I'm sorry if I'm missing some of it. But everyone, please take note. Keep taking notes along the way.
Haven't you dropped for years?
Yeah, this one is a bit of an obstacle course here. Yeah, you got, oh, and this is not good at all.
Does this count, by the way, this material just count for the clear path?
Not, it's not ideal because especially when you have the cross slopes, which I guarantee you these cross slopes are not compliant. And also when you have these cracks like this, or this situation here, this is definitely not compliant. So this is not our ideal by any means.
It's better than what it was before.
Better perhaps, but not our ideal. I also wonder, the lights here, are all of these at night? If you happen to be out here walking at night, I wonder if all of these are functioning and how they're maintained.
Check out that light pole.
We can all see the internal wiring of the pole here if you all like to check it out. That's also something we don't want to see. That makes it easy for people to come in and steal wiring. Not saying that people in your community are going to do that, but some people are desperate enough to steal the wire.
Children.
And it's not safe for children as well. It's actually at the perfect height too for a child to rummage in there, and that's not something we want to see. Oh my gosh, you're right. All right.
This is a crowded area. The trash bin here, there's not much.
Oh, especially, yeah.
Not much through.
No, and yeah, and if you do have kids that are bored, it's probably the kids at a bus stop waiting with their parents that are going to be bored. So we don't want things like that at the bus stops. All right. But it is nice that we have bus benches, and it's nice that we have shade and a trash can. Those are all good features.
We're here to complain. That's a good thing.
I like to give some credit. Again, this is another situation where yeah. Oh, we're going pretty far, but if you guys need to drop off at any time, yeah, if you need to drop off at any time, you're welcome to. Okay, but we'll start moving a little. I guess we can start moving a little faster. But yeah, again, another spot that it's falling apart there. It's crumbling. Another driveway. And again, pay attention. This is another driveway that has a full signal. No indication to the visually impaired that they're entering a potentially dangerous situation with a detectable warning mask. And there's no indication to the pedestrian or cyclist using the sidewalk that they need to stop if that light is green. This is something, I hate to say, this is something that never should happen. I hate to point out something while somebody's working. But if I'm a pedestrian using this crosswalk, which is still, it's not closed off to me.
I would like to mention in here, as you know, the cars coming out with the light, But the pedestrian, they don't know any better.
Exactly.
They're just gonna walk through and then they don't know, they don't pay attention. Like right now, if somebody jogging,
They'd get hit. Yeah.
and usually if it's long enough, they put the pedestrian light on the sidewalk. But I don't know if it's feasible here, but it's an issue here.
No, I agree. It would need a pedestrian signal head to alert them that they should not cross when that light is green.
And this is a humongous hotel. We got lots of cars going in and out.
Absolutely. No, I very much agree. But again, here, as we're doing our construction projects, this should never be happening. This is actually making it impossible for a wheelchair user to actually use this crossing because of the placement of where they're putting their materials. I know he's working very hard, but we need to make sure that as we're doing our construction, that can't be happening. All right. All right, let's keep moving. All right. My phone's still out.
The thing is that I don't have I need to get the meeting login.
Oh. Okay. We'll fix it next time. Yeah. Are you okay? Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry. We're gonna keep walking. Pay attention to the truck unloading and loading zones and the needs for these. I noticed this as I was driving in this morning that there's actually quite a few trucks at this time loading and unloading. Where do they do that? Is this a convenient location for them to do that? But we'll keep moving. This again is not something we want to see.
That's brand new, you know?
Yeah. Hopefully that gets fixed at the base there. Okay. All right.
That's it.
I hope that's not the case.
That's it.
All right. Well, we're keep walking. A lot of the things that we've seen originally are consistently the same, like the trees. Again, you got a hydrant here right in the middle of the sidewalk. We've got some on-street park. Well, it says no parking anytime, tow-away zone, but we've got some areas here. It must be, I'm thinking, loading and unloading areas. So again, is this where they're intended to be? Is this a good placement for that?
Placement's fine. The problem is when there's one here and there's one in the next lane too.
Yeah.
And they do that at 4 to 5 o'clock. That's the problem.
And definitely, then, if that's the case, if that's what you're seeing, definitely note that. Please note that.
Back to Michael Greco.
Oh, excellent. So if everyone looks up, you can see the cameras that we've installed as part of the study to start taking counts. Yep, counting everything. Oh, and you can see this light is having a bit of a party over here. It's a all right. So we got some lights in the ground here that are on. So again, that's a question of, are they functioning properly? Are they being maintained? Who's maintaining them? I would guess that actually in this situation, from what I know, it might be a city maintained light, but we just want to make sure that the treatments that we're putting on our roadways are actually functioning and continue to function as we intend them to.
Sidewalk level lighting, I see anyway.
Yep.
Is the state or is the city responsible for the sidewalk level lighting on state routes?
So it depends. It depends. And the lighting also, they a lot of times will come out and do like a lighting study to see how the lighting levels are. And even the impact of the surrounding buildings can impact the lighting levels. So we have to, I mean, I would be curious to see what the conditions are actually at night and what light is actually created from not just the ground lighting, but also the lighting overhead and the lighting from the surrounding buildings. And this is another probably very busy driveway. This one isn't signalized. However, again, depending on the amount of traffic that's coming in and out of here, is this safe for pedestrians as they're crossing? All right. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to speed it up just a little bit. All right. I know we've got some people taking notes at the end, and we're going to continue to move though and just let everyone catch up. Okay. So this is actually something I like to see. If we do have on-street parking, I like to see some ADA compliant parking spots. This parking spot, that's why there's this ramp here. That's why there's the detectable warning. Yeah, there's not a crossing, but this is intended to be used by by the user of the ADA parking spot. All right. That's Matthew's bike. And that's, again.
We know who to arrest.
All right. So you can see something, sorry. So you can see something interesting from watching this gentleman try to leave the driveway here. What direction is the driver looking in when he's leaving the driveway? Right? He's not looking at the people coming in this direction, and for good reason for him, because he's looking at only one direction of traffic, because he only has one direction of traffic to worry about. But when it comes to pedestrian and cyclist safety using the sidewalk, it is important to note that he should be looking in both directions, and we should try to encourage that in our designs. All right, we're going to get into a bit of a little bit more sunshine here.
Where's our shade?
Where's all the shade exactly? And we're actually about to come upon a bus stop. And if you're sitting here at this bus stop, maybe you parked in the parking lot here, and now you have to get on the bus, and you're just sitting in the heat of the sun. Yes, it could be a great location for a shelter. Yeah, no, we have, I guarantee you there's the space behind it. Yeah. Yeah. And there are shelters along the route. So it's not like shelters are breaking consistency. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. And this is also a good point for people to get beach access. So if somebody were to want to go to the beach, go to this beach, and then get back on transit, they're going to the beach, they left the beach, they're now waiting for the bus. Now they're sitting in the heat of the sun. Probably after a day full of sun where they don't really need any more sun, and now they're being forced to get more. But it's something we can do about that, so that's good. All right. As we've been walking, I've been noticing some ebbs and flows in traffic, some points that not a ton of traffic have hit through, some heavier points. Another ADA compliant parking spot, which is very good, very good. If we are to have, again, on-street parking, it's good to have some ADA spots. And then we have a crossing opportunity. Again, another situation where we have a light indicating that the cars can go, but it's not telling me as a pedestrian that I need to stop. It is my responsibility to stop for my own safety. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so this is something that needs to be addressed as we address the corridor. Good morning. All right. All right, and if you guys want, we've got a newsstand at a convenient location. And I see that it's empty. I see that it probably hasn't been filled in quite some time. I don't know, maybe somebody else can give me a little bit more backstory on whether that has been filled in any time, but that's, again, if it's not used, then why is it there?
Do people use those anymore?
Yeah, they do.
They do, but usually it's right in front of a business or
It's not a
something.
good spot. It's in between two bus stops.
Yeah. If you're gonna have something like that,
Is,
yeah, well,
right?
exactly. If you're gonna have something like that, maybe put it right next to the bus stop, right? Or
Yes.
maybe put it right in front of a
As
business.
part of the bus stop amenity.
Mm-hmm. All right, because actually, I guarantee you, probably a lot of people don't realize that it exists. All right. All right, but I have to say, I'm gonna give credit. This piece of the sidewalk is actually quite nice, right? Nice and smooth. I don't see any real issues with it. Maybe some utility markings but otherwise, it is a nice clear path. Yeah, very wide, spacious, smooth.
Yeah, this is a great area.
But no shade.
No shade.
No shade.
No shade.
Yeah, no shade.
The other thing you're not seeing is on the other side of the street is the year before the last boat show. I guess the boat show paper they resurfaced the sidewalks, but then all these heavy trucks came in to unload for the boat show, and they broke them. So you can see lots of cracks and broken up sidewalks on the other side right after they were fixed them.
What I noticed too, and I can see it happening actually right now. So if you look diagonal, and I don't know if the camera can zoom in, if you look where I'm seeing here across the street, you can actually see the cars driving up over the sidewalk onto the grass on the other side.
Yeah.
Because and it's not just one, it's not just two, it's not just today. This is a repeat occurrence that I've seen when I'm out here. So I know I'm sure the residents see it too. Again, the intention is not for vehicles to be driving over sidewalks. That's never the intention. If it's not a parking spot, it's not supposed to be a parking spot. So let's keep going though.
Another issue related to that is just south of the bus stop on Indian Creek before 41st.
Mm-hmm.
On Monday morning from 8:25 until at least 11:30, there was a sanitation truck servicing some boats right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was parked there with flashes on for over 2 hours. That's right after the bus stop. So it's blocking the buses have to go around, the traffic has to go around.
Exactly. So what we're seeing then is a conflict between the boat use over here and the necessary, I guess, parking and maybe loading
those are commercial boats too.
Exactly.
So that's why all those cars are parked there unloading and getting out of the street.
Exactly.
The shelter is pretty close to the
No, this is an excellent shelter. What I love about it too is that it actually has this clear backing. So this is visibility. You don't feel as threatened in a bus shelter like this, right? You don't feel like you're hidden away. You don't feel like you could be, that someone could easily mug you or anything like that because you're seen from all angles. This is good. Excellent
This is an
design.
important bus stop because the 120 back stops here. It only stops here for a mile in either direction, basically.
Yeah, this is
an important bus stop.
and I'm happy to say that this actually very well designed. It's aesthetically pleasing too.
That bus stop and this shelter serves the same route.
It serves the LDS and the 120.
No, that stop and this shelter. They're pretty close together.
And the trolley.
Probably on time. 10 minutes? Oh, 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Oh, okay. But what time are we supposed to be at the other?
They're looking.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And go tell them.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we can actually see the other group ahead of us. So we've actually made up some time, even though we've had some technical issues. So I have to say we're doing a pretty good job, but I hope everyone is getting some good notes in. Again, I've mentioned this before, but I can definitely feel it here. I feel the drag of the slope pulling me into the roadway. This is not an ideal situation. We always should be trying to provide some sort of level surface, especially for our wheelchair users. Here, we'll get out of the way so we can allow this cyclist to pass. Good morning. I liked it. It was actually a really pleasant way to alert people that you're coming. Just have a little adorable dog barking at you. All right. But so one thing though, again to note, just everyone thinking about how the road is being used. Think about the fact that you do have those commercial boats on the other side, and I think about how they're being used. Are they being rented out? Are people maybe purchasing tickets? I mean, I think we saw a group this morning getting on one of those yachts. I think we saw a pretty sizable group getting on one of those boats this morning. So think about if you're not staying in one of these hotels, maybe, and you're coming to this area to get onto one of those boats, probably parking in that lot there, and then you're wanting to cross, right? You're wanting to cross to use one of the boats. So just think, how are people choosing to cross that do that? Have we provided for them to cross?
I face the canal, and empirical evidence over the last 6 months, it looks like those commercial boats have tripled or quadrupled in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's something to be concerned and
Absolutely. I think especially during COVID, I think oops, sorry. Okay, sorry, especially when people haven't maybe had access to, I hate to say this, but to the clubs anymore, right? When the clubs shut down, or maybe some of the other events that they were once going to. A lot of people, I think, have probably, I would assume, I would predict a lot of people have been resorting to renting out boats for their groups of friends. So I can see probably why there's been a spike. Yeah, been a spike in the boat rentals and those specific needs to access that location because of the spike in boat rentals. A planting strip, yeah. So there always could be something right here. As I mentioned before, when you have like a grass buffer of some sort, that is actually protection from you using this edge of sidewalk to the vehicle. So that's always something good if you can provide that. What I do like to see though, this right here, the hashed out markings, that is not usable for vehicles. I mean, that's intended not to be used by vehicles. So there is, in that way, there is still protection there. It's just not the green space that might be more aesthetically pleasing. Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. Drivers will, if you've been seeing people parking there, then that's even more reason to maybe make it a green space. Also, areas like this make some sort of it makes an opportunity if we were to provide a mid-block crossing somewhere. Not saying that we can or cannot, that has to be evaluated. But you could actually make a bulb out so that you can shorten the crossing distance. A bulb out is just sort of rounding out and raising up that area to the level of the sidewalk and making sort of extension. All right. So again, you can see on the other side, more boats, right? And I would predict again that I'll have to confirm that these might be rented out. Might be private, or do we know for sure?
I think that
It looked like a rental.
that land is actually owned by the condominiums on this side.
Okay.
That's all represented, right?
All right.
It's either owned or leased from the city for 99 years.
I'll let the rest of the group catch up. I know they're probably having a very good conversation.
It's not the land. A hole in the water.
Okay.
And
Why is there a service road? I mean, speculation, but why is there a service road that starts at the 4700 block or 4800 block?
I'd have to look at the history of the project to see why it was determined that specific location was needed for the service road. It may have been that some of this was already developed out. It could be the history of how it was already developed.
So the land was there, basically.
It could be. It could be. I'll have to.
Back in the 50s, where the town blue was the Firestone house or mansion. In this area, you can go to the 60s.
I have to say that I really do appreciate this little this feature here, because I'm about to run into a pole. All right. So, as we can see, we're starting to come upon the frontage road here. All right, looks like we've got some people maybe falling off the group.
There was some talk of getting rid of some of these trucks. Getting rid of this excess may or may not be a good idea.
Yeah, and we'll have to evaluate that. A big point of the frontage road again is to handle the cars that are U-turning. Your intention is that in a safe way. Now, it can be, unfortunately, for those people that are not familiar with the area, it might be confusing. So is that an example of how it was confusing for someone to actually navigate this? Especially when you got a lot of tourism, a lot of people not familiar with this type of treatment.
It's unusual.
It is very unusual. I have to say, imagine the first time you used the roadway, right? I remember I had to it took me a bit to navigate. But that was probably a few years ago. So. Exactly. And you have to ask yourself, is that for good reason, right? Do you see a lot of use?
I don't see any bus stops, at least.
Well, there's one there, and there is a crosswalk right up there, so that's good news. So we do have to ask ourselves, what would be the purpose of somebody crossing at this point, and is it necessary, right? And I would see that it could be necessary if those boats right there are being used by the people over here, and if they're being rented out, because that would increase the use. Or if the waterfront was activated. Exactly. And I know there's some, as we walk along, I know there's some kind of like park spaces. There's some bench seating, some kind of like viewing areas. So there is some like activation on the other side, but we just have to make sure that that is connected, right? That people are having access to that in a safe way. All right, and I think we got some people here trying to get around us, so we'll just move over a little bit. Okay, and I'm actually seeing a potential issue right here. This is something that's kind of a tripping hazard, especially for visually impaired. I would say, and this is kind of a harsh edge. I would say, if anything, we probably want to, I know it's not the most visually appealing thing, but we probably want to highlight it. So see how we always try to color the sharp edges. I think we probably at least want to highlight that this is here. I didn't fall, thankfully, but but hopefully other people won't. Okay. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Oh, nice shaded area and a nice breeze. Oh, nice.
How many viewers do you have on the internet right now? You know?
All right. How many viewers? 6? 6 viewers? Yeah, it looks like we've got 6 viewers right now. But this is going to be recorded so people can watch it anytime. All right. We'll keep going, but we've got a nice shaded area, thankfully. Okay. All right. And that's a nice little space there. Okay. Okay.
But the afternoon and evenings, this is completely sun-bathed.
Oh, the afternoon's brutal.
Very
Ooh.
yeah, I was going to say unpleasant or brutal is a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
From especially in July and August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is horrendous.
So what we're hearing, just for all the online viewers, what we're hearing is that we're actually experiencing good conditions right now. We're in the peak of shade, even though I'm not in the shade right now. But as we hit the afternoon hours, this is actually completely sunbathed. You're going to get some good sunlight in if you're wanting to get a nice tan in the afternoon. Right here, I just want to note, everyone, I almost fell. This right here, this utility is actually sinking in, or maybe it was just constructed in a way that wasn't compliant. But this is something that's a hazard. Okay. Again, we have some signage that's in the middle of the sidewalk, not ideal. A bench. Benches are good. We got a trash can, again, good feature, but it is we get some sun at that location. Okay. All right, keep going. And again, as people are entering and exiting these driveways, think about what they're experiencing. Think about, can they easily see, or are they encouraged to see the pedestrians on the sidewalk? Or as they're leaving the driveway, what's their options? Okay. Oh, another issue here. Okay. Perhaps this should be trimmed back a bit. I wish I had my trash bag here today. I know we have some with, I think, the other group. We were. I think Dan knows. Dan knows.
What's the question?
About the Frontage Road. Yeah, we've got some questions about the history of the Frontage Road, and I think that might be some good information to provide on our website. So that's something that I'm gonna see if we can put on the FDOT project website, the history of the Frontage Road, if we can get that for everyone, because that's a common question. All right. So what we see from the Frontage Road here, just note that I wonder, because if you look at the Frontage Road and the separation that they have on this Frontage Road, is that something that you think is probably easily mountable? Is that something that a car can easily drive over? I would wonder how many people are driving on that. I hope not many. Yeah. I hope not many.
I see it.
Okay, good. Okay, we're hearing that doesn't happen often, so that's good. All right. So we've got a bus stop coming up. This bus shelter, note that this bus shelter is different than the other bus shelter, right? This bus shelter still has a clear back, but we're seeing that maybe the upkeep isn't as good. It's a bit rusted. Bus shelters are always good, yes, but it definitely needs some repair, if anything. I would definitely say this bus stop probably needs some repair. And but it's fairly clean. It's fairly clean. But yeah, I do not believe that it reflects this area. I think you guys take pride in the aesthetics and the beauty of this corridor. I do not believe that that bus stop reflects that same value. All right. All right. Again, some utilities causing some uneven surfaces. Oh, we all get to get misted on by the landscaping here. That might be a water feature. It could be something that we don't appreciate. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but what you see a lot are delivery trucks that will park halfway on the sidewalk, halfway on the street. You know, even though there's plenty of room at times for a truck window lands on the surface road.
Okay.
There's no space for the seat there.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that they have blocked the sidewalk many times.
So what we're hearing is that although we don't see it right now, that oftentimes the delivery trucks, as they make deliveries, they'll be half on the sidewalk, half in the service road as they park. Again, that's not something we're seeing at the moment, but that's something that we're hearing is a regular occurrence.
It makes sense to make a U-turn from the middle. So that tends to have like a bus stop. And then today is like a great picture because you have this right here, right? You have the bus stop there, you have a truck stop there. So you imagine this that you're replace some of the tool and everything else. So then what happens is everyone gets back up here.
Yeah. So what we're hearing right now is that we are seeing something that is something to note and not technically uncommon, is that we have kind of an obstacle here in the service road. We've got the delivery truck, we've got the bus trying to get around the maintenance workers here that are parked on one side. So people are trying to get in and out of these obstacles as they're using the frontage road. As you can see, the buses have almost had to come to a crawl in order to get around these obstacles. And all right. So this service road is being pretty heavily used today. We've got buses using it, we've got trucks using it.
From the calling.
Oh, another issue that should be fixed.
I'm gonna head out, but I just want to say thank you so much. I gave Anne Marie all my contact information, so if down the line you guys need to give us any information or anything like that, feel free.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to keep moving along. All right, and we've been hearing some people talk about the frontage road and the complexity of it, how people are more in tune to make that U-turn from the far left instead of the far right. And right now it's against their intuition to use the far right. So that's some of the conversation being had. And as we see, we've got some people trying to get around us here. We've got, so we'll just leave an opening for the runner and the person walking by. Morning.
This is the most important bus stop. We should test mark on a barber industry right here.
So this is a bus stop that could probably benefit based on what we're hearing about the use of it, from maybe additional amenities.
We have a shelter there.
All right. I love that in this section here we have no obstruction. We're kind of allowed to move freely in this section here. All right, but again we see people, we see trucks using this space, loading, unloading, utilities, maintenance. Okay. All right.
So cars that are turning here, if there's just two of them there, then people go northbound.
Yeah. So yeah, this is causing, these cars parked here are making it so everyone has to use that turn lane instead of using the through lane. So yeah, even the people wanting to go northbound on the frontage road cannot get into that proper lane because of how the vehicles are parked on the service road.
In the morning, so it's not bad, but they do it at 3 to 4 to 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So again, it's not too cumbersome at this hour, but during those peak hours, it becomes a problem.
Be realistic about things.
Yeah. Absolutely. Almost good to think about how we're using our curbs and do we have flexibility in that? Right?
I want to be conscious of people doing business as well.
Absolutely.
Consider it also.
Absolutely. And how can we be more flexible with the use of our curbs around those type of hours to maybe accommodate businesses, but also make sure we're keeping traffic moving?
Also, I can tell you the drainage right there behind the truck, the street, it commonly gets clogged.
Okay.
On the street in Collins, it commonly gets clogged.
And if we would have been out here last week or even the past few days with some of the heavy rains we've gotten, we might be able to see some of the drainage issues that have been happening. Today, thankfully, we don't have that rain, but when we're hearing, oh yes, the ADA issues. I could point those out all day. But yeah, it sounds like the puddling and drainage. All right.
Unfortunately, at least half of those people that use ADA parking or handicap parking, I question what's handicap about.
I hear you.
You see a guy that's 26 years old, boss looks like.
So again, this one's a very interesting use here. We got a yield of these vehicles kind of just merging in with the others. Exactly. You have to have a pretty good neck to make that view.
Have a pretty good neck paint on.
Exactly. You got to pretty much turn around completely in order to be able to see the movement coming. But okay. So we can see that we have a vehicle parked right there that's really made that sidewalk almost unusable. Yeah, I mean, is that a question of they don't have the proper needed parking spaces? Is that not something provided, or is it just that's what's convenient at the time?
You too.
Well, it's the guy can pull up another 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
Space for him to do that.
So as we're coming up, we see a bus shelter, which I love bus shelters, but what I'm noticing from this bus shelter is it's pretty much taking up most of the sidewalk.
67%.
Yeah, it's taking up a lot of it. So almost we have to sometimes question whether the bus shelter is, I'm going to say whether the bus shelter is necessary in certain locations. Does it actually improve? Yeah, does it actually improve the conditions, or is it taking up necessary space that needs to be used for the sidewalk and the pedestrians walking along the corridor? Because we can see we've got this beautiful tree ahead of, right above us that actually would provide some natural shade. Right. We've seen quite a few buses using this frontage road. Uh-oh. And a cyclist. Now that bus, just to note, that bus that kind of went right past us, it didn't stop at that bus stop. So I also wonder how many people are using that specific bus stop. And again, I don't ever want to forget the other side of the road and the needs that are along the other side of the road. So again, we should just pay attention as we're moving along. What type of demand, pedestrian and cyclist demand to get over there, or even just demand in general to access that location. Where are those people parking? How are they getting there? Where are they coming from? Think those are things to think about. Okay. All right. And I know we've got a couple more blocks until we get to our I guess midpoint, or if you're only joining the first half, we'll get to your stopping point. So we're gonna keep moving along. I'm sorry if I'm rushing anybody. We are gonna have this footage, like I said, it's gonna be available. So you'll be able to make notes and maybe potentially things you've missed. So feel free, watch that video again, give us notes after the fact. That's perfectly acceptable. Now, this is also something to pay attention to. See how this section's missing? And then the dirt's coming onto the sidewalk, eroding the space. That could potentially become an issue if it's not resolved. We don't want to actually eliminate space on the sidewalk by the dirt and outside soils eroding onto the sidewalk. And I don't, like, you can see that piece is falling apart. Now, I have to say that I like what's being done across the street. You can see kind of the little brick, the cobblestone, I guess, wall there. And as we're moving along, I believe there are some areas for seating. And I know perhaps it's further down in the corridor, there'll be like little paths and other things right off of the sidewalk. Good morning.
I think that's an Australian pine over across the street. I don't think it's not going to remove it now, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah. I just want to point out that these push buttons do need to be upgraded. These are not upgraded push buttons. These are very kind of difficult for someone that's visually and even in a wheelchair to use, because what your intention is anymore is that you want to be able to just press it with your elbow and move along. That this indentation makes it difficult to do that. And again, the Alexander here, this might be a location, depending on how much traffic is coming in and out of this driveway, we might want to at least give some sort of warning to the pedestrians crossing across this potentially busy driveway that it is something to be aware that you're crossing into a place that you might be a little bit vulnerable. So it looks like this bus shelter is blessed by some shade caused by the hotel, but we might just be at the right point in the right time that it is. Let's see how much, although there is no shade at this location, but compare it to the last bus stop that we saw where it had the bus shelter, and the bus shelter was taking up pretty much the entire space of the width of the sidewalk. This bus stop has no shade, but you see all the width that's provided because that shelter is not there. All right, if we look across the street, we see a couple people using the city bikes, right? And it looks like, and they're using them on the sidewalk. We do know that there are a couple city bike locations on the other side, at least one on the other side on the of the roadway. We don't see it at this point, but further down the corridor. And oh, actually, there's another city bike location. So there's two along that side of the roadway, which means that it's creating its own demand, right? It's creating a demand for a cycling facility by having those bike share stations along that side of the roadway. Is that really where we want cyclists to be? We put the bike share stations over there, meaning we're encouraging the use of that side, but is that the best placement for people to be biking? All right, everyone. We have done it. I see the other group. We are at our first meetup point. Yay. Everyone's getting quite a lot of steps in today. And I hope that online viewers are enjoying this. I hope no bets have been placed on whether I fall as I try to walk backwards. Oh, I do want to point one thing out because I like when I see these. But we have to see also, is this the best placement for these? If I'm in a vehicle that has maybe a higher, is the intention for this just for the low sitting vehicles? Or is this supposed to be used by everyone? Because if the intention is this to be used by all vehicles, I don't think this height maybe fits the need. But what this allows is for better visibility around the corners. I like the effort, but I don't know about the way it's been installed. All right, everyone, and I'm just letting you know we're taking just a quick break before we start the next stretch. So if you're still watching online and you want to join in, give us a little bit, and we'll be back shortly.
What do you guys see?
Hey Maria, are you on? Am I coming through live? Oh, I have to turn my volume back up. Let's try again. Maria, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Dan.
Awesome. Okay, I think we're going to switch since Stephanie's phone died and she'll more or less lead, and I'll kind of do color commentary a little bit from more the rear.
No problem.
Let me testing.
Oh, okay.
It works now.
Oh, wow. Okay, just a signal. Okay, so we'll. Andre, how's the video going? Great.
All right. Okay, everyone, we're going to start walking. Oh, okay. And this time we're going to be in one group. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. All right. Watch out for the glass, everyone. Yeah, we've got some glass here shattered, so everyone watch your feet. All right. So, okay. All right. All right. And everyone's kind of saying their goodbyes, and we're gonna allow it. We're gonna allow a picture to happen. I don't want to get in the middle of the picture opportunity. Okay. But yes, especially people with flip-flops, and also, Janelle, your nice shoes on. I don't want you to get them messed up with the glass over there. All right. All right. All right. So Dan is actually going to take the back of the group, but I'm going to be leading the front. So we're starting the second stretch now, but we can see some of the same type of conditions as we said previously. We had a crossing area right here at 53rd, so or 5300 block. So it does pretty much align with the parking lot, which is good. So you got to think about where are the people coming from and where are they going to. So if people are parking in this lot, going to use the boats and the boat docks over there, then perhaps that's a really good placement for that. Okay. All right. So as you can see from the back of the group, Dan's coming up the back. Oh, I do want to point out, because I pointed this out before, I'm sorry to back up a little bit, but I again wonder, is this the best placement for this? Is that really needed? Is that a good spot for that, or is that something that's not necessary? I'm so sorry. I'm going to come back up to the front. Just wanted to make note of that. Okay, we could see a sun-kissed can on the light there. Maybe we need a trash receptacle. All right. And this is another area. This is another area. I wonder how many cars are actually coming in and out of this, right? Because if this is really heavily utilized, I mean, imagine there's quite a few spots in here. I'm curious to see whether there needs to be something here to again alert pedestrians that they need to be cautious going through this segment. All right. Okay. And again, something to note too is all the placement of the utilities in the sidewalk and what type of conditions that's making. So that's something that's interesting. We could see that the fire truck was actually using the driveway of that parking lot to access the fire station, not necessarily using the fire station driveway to access the fire station. Okay. Walking along. And one thing that I always do appreciate, and something I guess we always should look at the good things along the corridor, is that the median here has beautiful trees. It's well landscaped. Looks like we keep that grass pretty low. And then I think it's good to watch how the vehicles are using the frontage road and watch this individual right here in particular as they're making their necessary U-turn. All right. And we can see how that maneuver was done. All right. But as you could see from the previous, I guess, driveways, intersections, this right here is we're walking along this stretch. You can see there's no conflict for us, right? There's no driveways exiting and exiting. But this has the same type of indication that you're reaching a conflict as the previous sections that actually did have a conflict. So this again, if you're looking out this way, same sort of situation as the previous intersections, but the only difference is we turn around, we're protected here by this landscape. Oh, we're protected here by this landscaping, and there's absolutely no cars coming this way, versus the other segments that we were actually very similar looking out this way, but the driveways were actually a potential hazard for us, and we weren't necessarily alerted of that as we're walking along. And as the previous section, what we always like to see is the median refuge island, okay? However, there's that median refuge island. If I push the button here, it's still indicating one solid, that's still indicating one crossing distance though. Even though we have the median refuge, so that what that means is, okay, I push the button, let's say I don't make the other end in time, I'm in the median refuge, right? But if I'm stuck in the median refuge, how do I continue? Well, exactly, you have to wait till there's no cars. You can't actuate another button. That might be a concern. No, I did not. We can push the button, but it depends on the phasing. So I have to look at the actual signal plans to see what the phasings are. And that's what probably fluctuate based on the peak hour, I would say. It probably does. Oh, this is good. So I'm not going to cross though here, but my thing is though, again, if I do not make that other end, and now I'm stuck in the middle, how do I get to the other side? You could actually, what we could do is we could actually do a push button in the middle, or we could make sure that the pedestrian phase is automatic. It's within the cycle. But we'll keep going. There's a formula for how we come up with the crossing distance. And actually that's why in some situations, so we actually did break it up into sections, like 2 phases. We actually might help operations too. Or if we added bulb outs where you have a little extra kind of sidewalk in that section of the crossing, you can actually you can shorten that crossing distance, which means you shorten the time necessary to cross, which can actually help cars move a little bit more quickly, I guess. Not quickly, but they don't have to stop for as long of a stretch. So I'm curious to see if this is just the entrance or if this is also an exit for this. Because if they're coming around that stretch there, if they're coming around that stretch there and they're making that tight turn, depending on how fast they're moving, that could be unsafe for the pedestrian. I have no idea. It's probably it's probably something with a utility or maybe plumbing of some kind. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. And now this is something that I really love, but I wonder how much access that people are having. I guess they have that crossing there, but this little area, I don't know how many of you actually go over there and use that space. But as I was walking along, you know, in one of my previous walks by myself, I noticed how beautiful that little area is. How many of the residents are using that area? Do you guys feel like you? Oh, it has connections to the sidewalk.
I don't know, but it makes it nice that people we are able to use it as a public.
Yeah.
But it's part of the private.
Huh. They've almost made a public space. The private entity has made a public space. Which, do they want that? Do they want it to be closed off to the public, or do they want people to use it? I guess that's something that we have to ask. Because they have connected it to the sidewalk, you can actually see. And there's all those benches, and there's like little walking paths. Yeah, and there's like, yeah.
Well, then maybe it isn't part of that. Maybe it ends like right.
Yeah.
All along there are their jobs.
Oh, because that's a good place that could be activated, that people can go and maybe, like, who knows, like, at least have little, like, group meetings, like, you know, it's at least a nice viewing space. So it's beautiful over there. I would hate to see that we don't utilize it because we don't have good access to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Plans, are they going to put in more vegetation?
Well, it depends on the direction of all this. If people find that they want really a lot more vegetation, then that's something that we'll make sure is reflected.
Definitely needs more. Like if you go down to Brickell, all along Brickell, it's beautiful vegetation. If you go up to Golden Beach, they have beautiful trees. And this is how I'm back. This is like
Well, I mean, what we see is that the private sector is bringing a certain level of expectation to the corridor, and we have to ask: Are we matching that same I guess aesthetic that the private sector is bringing? I mean, there are limitations, I guess, to what we can do, but we can do some things. We definitely can. Yeah. Well, I want to mention this because if this is happening on a regular occurrence, this isn't good. So imagine if you're in a sedan or a compact vehicle and you're trying to get out of this driveway and you're behind this. Can you see me on the sidewalk? Yeah, no, this should not be happening. Yeah, the car is not going to see you, and they're most likely going to roll forward, and they're going to plant themselves here because they can't see around this car. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no vehicle should be parked in an area that makes for poor visibility. All right. Good morning. Okay. And I guarantee you it's because of the size of our group, but we can see that the runner is actually using the frontage road instead of the sidewalk. I don't know, maybe it's because of the side of yep, he got back on the sidewalk. But sometimes we do see that happen with runners, that they'll actually prefer to use the roadway itself instead of the sidewalk. And we kind of just have to ask ourselves, why is that the case? All right. And like to see that we have a variety of users, including the electric scooter there. Technically, scooters are allowed. They are classified as a bicycle. Because of the type of motor they have and the speeds that they can get up to, they are still allowed. Yes. Now they have to not go over a certain speed.
So all these cracks and all this mess, is that city repair or
Okay, so the red here, I believe the agreement,
everywhere, you know,
so
it's
yes,
everywhere.
and I believe because of the red tint, that the agreement was at the city.
So where
But
it's red,
that's
it's the city, because we'll advocate for that, because it's embarrassing. Look at this.
Yeah,
Have you been looking down? I know
Yeah.
you're talking, but
exactly. No, I've been looking down, and yeah, you can see how faded.
Look at the hazards here.
Yeah.
There's safety. Look at this.
And there actually have been some good stretches of sidewalk further down where it was nice and smooth.
Yes, because those
But-
are recently repaired.
yeah.
They've been sending pictures to patients, but that's what I don't know. Is it state or is it city?
And that's something we'll
all
have to
these are new.
Yeah, based on a conversation I've been recently about the 26th through 44th, it sounds like there may have been an agreement in the past, but I think we need to make sure that we have that.
Can we clarify
We
that?
need that
So we need
clarified.
to know who to advocate
Exactly,
for.
absolutely. And we'll make sure within this project as well as before this project that that's clarified.
Okay.
But because you're absolutely right, especially the cracks that are greater than a half an inch, those are ADA.
There's
Yeah.
greater than half an inch everywhere.
Yeah, and those are actually ADA compliance issues.
And there are lawsuits waiting to happen.
And trip
These
hazards.
were repaired because we formed a rumble here.
Yeah.
These were really bad, and they were repaired because of that. But, you know,
No,
constantly practice. So we
absolutely.
came up with a great idea as for why this frontage road exists and why we can take it out.
Okay. I'll hear it. But
And I want to share a couple of other ideas we got in this walk, which is very good.
good. Yay. I'm happy to hear it. I wonder how often they're coming to pick up this trash. That trash definitely, I mean, it's even dropping out of the bottom. I would maybe say that this trash can needs to be replaced, at least the inside trash can, because I believe that either a city or it might be the county with respect to the bus stop. It might be that, but it's probably city. I'll confirm that too. Well, it's better than that other one. It's better than the other one. It definitely needs to be cleaned up.
All these beautiful highs about 2 years ago, and I don't know what happened to that project.
I like the idea to have, if we're going to have the bus stops along the corridor, I like the idea of having the same design
They
bus
have to
stops.
be identical.
Yeah.
That
And
design was approved. That
Yeah.
design was approved, and I don't know what it's
see that the other one back there, the one that was like all metal and rusted up, that didn't match up with the same aesthetic, but still this one needs to be cleaned up. I can't say this one without fault. But again, what I do like the fact that it's clear. What I don't like though, and I know we want the advertising, but if I'm biking up, again, if someone's coming this way and coming this way, this is a huge obstruction.
You're walking, you're biking, you're cycling, and a walker comes in here, and you
This is a huge, I know we want the advertisement, but this is a huge obstruction that we might want to consider minimizing at least. All right. All right. I think I'm just stopping to enjoy the breeze a little bit, but nice breeze, nice shade right now. Again, this probably isn't always the case, but it's nice right now. Let's keep walking. Again, this is another situation. I've seen this time multiple times.
To replace all buses stop.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
All, I don't know, maybe 300 buses stop.
Oh, good.
It's an opportunity when we do everything to put it in use.
Yes. No,
Because there's too much space.
absolutely. I do want to emphasize, you notice everyone, can you guys notice that this is green, right?
Yeah.
This is green, meaning that these people can leave, right? These people can leave. But me and actually these ladies here, we have no idea. I'm actually standing in the middle of that driveway that is encouraging this exit.
look at the mess that's going on right now.
Yeah. So this is something that me as a pedestrian, I don't realize that I'm in the middle of an intersection right now.
So we need to put up, pedestrian signals.
Yeah. And because right now I'm not alerted that I'm actually in the middle of an intersection.
Y'all probably want to fog you down. Be safe.
Exactly, exactly. Thankfully, I'm in yellow.
And we're doing pretty good. We got a half an hour schedule.
Okay,
So.
okay. Sounds like we're doing good on the schedule for all the people watching online. And again, this is another situation where we have the median refuge island, which again, that's great to have because now if I don't make it over in time, I actually have a place to wait. But we have to question if I don't make it all the way across, Dan. If I don't make it all the way across, I'm stuck in the middle. Do I have another opportunity to actuate a signal to make sure I have another phase?
So not right now. These signals are set to do a walking all the way across. There probably does need to be a reevaluation of the amount of time to cross. Some are very, very short, some are longer. Another option would be to put another set of signals in the median and then design it to cross in once. Or crossing in two stages, a two-stage crossing, we call it.
It's wonderful that we've been able to give people that space to wait in the middle, but we do need to give them an opportunity to actuate again so they have that other opportunity to cross. So we're seeing here again a drag in a direction, which is good for drainage because we can drain everything to this, but it's also pulling the pedestrians in that direction too.
Yep.
All right, okay, perfect. What you can see here, this is what we should always be paying attention to how the adjacent land and the adjacent land use is directing traffic. So the good thing is that this driveway here with the parking garage, it says no left, so they actually have to come all the way up and out. So you should not be getting any of the sharp movement, which is a good thing. So they did a good job with putting up that sign that says that people cannot turn at that location. Yes. Yeah, we can definitely take a look at the sidewalk condition. Lots of ruts, lots of cracks. Yep, and we see cars parking where they should not. Perhaps it's maintenance, perhaps it's utilities. I do like to say I like these features that kind of make it a little bit unique along the corridor. Yeah, it's like their own little personal stamp. It's probably gonna be gorgeous. I can't wait to see what this looks like. Yeah. So we can just see all of the big investment.
These vehicles parked.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 4 and 5 semi trucks here, and they block the. Well, sometimes no, at least once or twice a week, and so everybody has to reverse, go out to go to the street because they get blocked, and the people park their cars, they leave.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that the driver is blocking the driver, and then so the SUVs don't fit.
Yeah. So what they're seeing frequently is this space is being used for parking, which makes it inaccessible for. And I'm sure many of you were able to see that, all the cyclists using the frontage road.
All the bicycles like white.
So we see people kind of already using the spaces they would like to see it for some of them. Whether you can see the parking, you see people biking on this frontage road. Again, as I pointed out earlier with another section, we have these dome mirrors that help with visibility. We just have to question whether the height is good. I like the treatment. We have to make sure that the height is at a level that is functioning as it's intended. Up and another, yep, that's a trip hazard. And if it's going to get anybody, it's going to get me because I'm always the one tripping. Yeah.
Look at this one. Look at this one.
Yeah. Yeah, you see a lot of we also see some puddling, and I'm curious because I see a drain I see the drain, but the drain isn't at the low point. I know this isn't our property anymore, but the way the drain's been positioned,
The installation of those pavers is pretty done.
yeah, but the drain is actually,
They didn't follow the smoke.
yeah. Okay, I'll keep going, but yeah, again, I love the domes. These are great features to have. We just have to make sure that they're the right height and that they're pointing in the right direction. And then also, although this is okay, I mean, it's, it is what it is. Ideally, it probably be better to have the push button a bit closer for the people actually coming in the opposite direction, if that's possible. I mean, that's what we like to see, ideally, is a push button, for one, upgraded so that I can go like this, but also put at least a bit more, a bit closer to the ramp, if possible. I mean, it works the way it is, but I would say ideally, I'd like to see something else. Another thing too, if you look at the median refuge, that median refuge is fine, but I do not see the detectable warning mats. The detectable warning mats should be on each side. It's not currently our standard, how it's been designed. And for those watching online or hearing me, detectable warning mats are actually those yellow surfaces there, the tactile surfaces that are bright yellow. Sometimes we'll see them in black, but that alert the visually impaired. They're using a cane that they're approaching an area where they're crossing the roadway. This is an incredibly steep driveway. I have to see if this is something that perhaps needs to be addressed as well. That is incredibly steep. And perhaps because of the slope of that, perhaps they've closed it because of that. But all right, so I think it's unlike some of the other sections further south, some of the sections further south that really didn't have much land use on the other side. This particular section, you can see there's lots of potential demand on the other side. There's lots of potential uses on the other side. We've got high rises. We've got probably quite a few residents and people using those areas. So these are really the sections that really could benefit from those added crossings, the access, and even the bus stops. Making sure the bus stops on the other side are also well equipped. And for those in the group, we have a lot of active conversation ongoing about the frontage road and how it's being used. I think it's one of those unavoidable conversations to have as we're walking along this corridor. I have to say, although we had a lot of issues with rutting and cracking previously, it looks like this segment has recently been repaved. Alicia, you notice, look how nice this segment is. Yep, and that's the question. But yeah, it's like almost like a.
These are all new.
Yep.
These are all a year old.
Mm-hmm.
These sidewalks 2 years ago were like you couldn't even walk through.
But yeah, you can see though the difference between the new the red surface, and then the old. It's almost like a patchwork.
But now the ones that they did fix 2 years ago now are cracking.
So it could be too. I mean, I know there needs to be consistency, but it could be in the product itself. You know, it could be a reevaluation of the product that being used.
Yeah. The good news is that we don't need to do anything with these sidewalks other than repair them because we're wide enough.
Yeah, they're
One small scratch, they're not wide enough.
no, they're
The rest are all wide enough, so that works.
yeah. The sidewalks.
Be completely repaired.
Yeah.
Make them all look like that.
Yeah.
Well, and again, one of the things too I've mentioned to a couple people is that there is now a term called context classification, and Collins Avenue is one of the most urban places in Miami Beach. We're good, right?
To do that?
Uh-huh.
And so the default, the starting point, is try and have a 10-foot wide sidewalk. So that's that's the starting place for discussing ideas. Right. It's all trade-offs.
Sorry. Yes. So Alicia is just pointing out, I mean, as we could see from that cyclist trying to get through, the advertisement sign that's a part of the bus shelter is actually creating an obstacle, forcing cyclists to actually get off their bike in order to make a safe maneuver around it. So again, we really appreciate it. Everyone loves bus shelters, except don't sit on the orange peel that's there. I think this one, it's got a trash can, but perhaps the trash can should be closer to actual seats. But so it's great to have a bus stop, but we just need to make sure that the bus stop isn't actually taking away from the much needed space on the sidewalk. It can't be creating an obstruction. And see lots of both buses and bikes using this frontage road as we walk along. And we've got a all right. We're just pointing out again when these vehicles are parked in the areas that they are not intended to be parked, it makes it very difficult for the larger vehicles to get around them as they're using the frontage road. Yeah, the intention of that hashed area is not for parking, but unfortunately it's being used as such. Right. And again, we're going across a driveway here. A good question is how many people, again, are using this driveway? Am I safe as I'm crossing the driveway? Yeah, and it looks like maybe it's construction work that's happening up here for one of the buildings, but what it's doing is using the width that needs to be used for the frontage road. So the question is, when someone is trying to get out of these driveways and you have something like this occurring, imagine you're in your car.
Look at this car. Look at this car coming over here.
Yeah. So I almost feel the need to tell this gentleman
There's one coming.
I doubt he was able to actually see the vehicles because of all of this happening. So as these people are leaving this driveway, are they safely able to see the obstacles that are coming because of the way that these cars are parked? And again, just because we are not on the other side of the road, I do not want to leave it out. But I think we all just, on occasion, we should take a look at what's happening on the other side. You can again see those domes that are placed at the driveways. You can also see kind of the slopes of the driveways hitting that as they cross the sidewalk. And see the opportunities where the people using the sidewalk on one side can actually access the other side. And I don't see very many opportunities at this point for those people being dropped off at this bus shelter to be able to maybe access the businesses on the other. So if I am working at one of these condos, or maybe I need to get to one of these and I'm getting dropped off at this bus shelter or bus stop, then how am I getting to that side of the road? As you can see, a lot of activity happening here, a lot of construction work from the adjacent land, the adjacent properties. Definitely in the short term, they're definitely impacting our experience as we walk along. This right here is a temporary measure that they do. This is not something that this is actually a temporary, so this is something that has to be fixed. This is something that cannot remain. Watch out. As you can see, this truck has made it completely impassable. But at the same time, I think we have closed this segment of the frontage road because, so you can see the cones. I believe the cones have indicated that we are closed, that this section is closed off. Okay. All right. So again, the construction in the short term has definitely impacted the experience as people are walking along. Hopefully that will be in the very short term and it will be addressed shortly. I do wonder, some of these little access areas, where is it leading to? This is leading to the beach walk?
This particular building, we were very instrumental in make sure that they added another beach an access for the residents all around.
Good, good. Is this the only one in the area? Or is there other access points?
Not, but on the other side, this building was allowed to be built because they're putting a 15-foot beach access on the other side, on the south side of 57 Ocean.
We just want to make sure that whatever we're proposing connects to that same connection. So,
But this is the one, but they're all, I'll tell you exactly what they are.
absolutely.
There's one coming up right now.
Good, good, good. I actually was asking, I was like, damn, we need to make sure that we have
a nice one, because they're doing it, and the contractor has done a really good job. It's a very expensive building.
I want us all to look, because I don't believe, I think this is probably puddling from rain. And we have to wonder, what was the puddling like after rain, immediately after rain? Because if the puddling is like this now, what was the puddling like immediately after rain? And where is the drainage, and why is it not draining properly? Yeah, so that's definitely something that needs to be looked into. Yeah, I wonder, is it?
This is right in the lights. And the
All right, and also, if you notice, there is another bus shelter on the other side. So again, that's one of those situations that, hey, if I get off at that bus shelter, but I need to get to this side of the road, where do I cross?
no crosswalk there.
No. And am I just resorting to crossing at a dangerous location, or am I actually
forcing you to jaywalk.
Oh yeah,
This is what they're going to do. They're not going to, where they have to go? A block?
yeah.
I wonder if they put that there because the FDL building and workers, maybe they have.
Yeah, but they might actually be coming in the opposite direction, right? Which is good if you happen to be going in that direction on the bus stop. But if you're going the opposite and you're getting dropped off over here, now you have to figure a way across.
Wrong direction, on the sidewalk. If you're scared to be on the street.
Absolutely.
And in the morning, you'll have tons of bicycles. The real ones going home.
Well, and again, when a cyclist is, although it's legal for the cyclist to go in the opposite way on the sidewalk, when the vehicles are leaving the driveways, they're actually looking in this direction. So when the cyclist is coming in the opposite direction, that's a point of conflict, because I'm looking this way and I'm looking in the other direction to see if vehicles are coming, not looking for cyclists.
Look at the jaywalkers. Film them.
Yeah, take a look. Again, this is an instance where are they trying to get to, and how do we?
This is to cross mountain.
And there, it looks like they're trying to get to the beach. And the beach access point. Thank you, for Alicia. They're probably. Oh, I was thinking maybe they're showing me the beach access
Going to their
point.
building, maybe they got off of the beach access is coming.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was like, maybe they're leading their way to the beach access. I think that they've found another way to get to the beach, because they have beach chairs. I guarantee you they're staying in one of the Yep. So they just pointed us in a good direction, right? Those ladies, I'm not saying they did anything horrible, anything like that, but what they just showed us is that's where people are trying to get to, right? That's the point they're trying to get to. They're coming from one of these buildings, and this is the point that they're trying to get to. So it's just like ants. I mean, I'm not going to say they're ants, but it's just like ants following the sugar, right? That you find the sweet spot, you'll see that path, and that's exactly where they went to. They're not going to go. I mean, some people might. Me, I probably would. I'd probably go all the way to the intersection, but that very few people are gonna do that. So it's something to note that this is the beach access point. This is the point that a lot of people are trying to get to. right. And we're reaching the end. We're reaching the end of our walking audit, and I almost went up this little area here. As you can see, this is definitely, again, like the features in the very beginning. This is something that we don't like to see. And I wonder, is there a Publix around here? How did that Publix card get there? This is interesting. Again, of a trash can that's overfilled, needs to be taken out. Oh, and this right here, as you can see, this is not what the intended, but yeah, this was broken, so yeah. The niche, I have to say, the design, I like the design, but it does definitely need some repair.
See the FDNL building?
Yes.
It's an FDNL facade only. No real windows or doors.
Oh,
To blend
interesting.
in.
Huh. And yeah, what Nicole just pointed out to us is that if across the street you can see FPNL, and what she's alerted me to is that the windows and doors are an illusion. Those aren't actual windows and doors. That's just so it blends in with the surrounding property, so it's not an eyesore.
So that's FDNL?
Yeah. All right. All right, and I want to get out of the way of this gentleman. But yeah, this is the end of this is the stopping point. But
we said 60th Street, which is just around the corner. So
yeah.
I think this is essentially what the service road is.
Yeah. So yeah, the end of our walking audit is just to the end of where the service road ends and where the two-way pair meet, where it splits off, which is just right around the corner. I do want to emphasize, though, if we look at the crosswalks, we see this consistently. The markings themselves are faded, and this isn't our high emphasis crossings. These are just a traditional crosswalk. That's not something that, again, is our standard today. It's something that would definitely need to be upgraded. And you can also see, if you're looking across the street at the other curb ramp, that curb ramp has two utilities right in the middle of the curb ramp, and it also doesn't have a detectable warning mat. Again, that curb ramp would need to be upgraded. All right.
We're taking a quick water break and then we're going to be crossing the street and getting on some transit. So please stand by. We're taking a quick break. All right, so now we're wrapping up. We're going to get on transit and head back to where we met initially. So we are about to use transit. We are going to wait here. So those watching online or watching the recording, you may have to, I don't know how well you can hear me, but you may have to wait a bit. We all may have to wait a bit, but hopefully it shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. But you can see from this bus shelter, this is not, this is one of those ones that we kind of said does not match the character of the neighborhood. it's in better shape than the other one, at least in the back here. But again, it's got a little rust from the salt air. He just came back to me. But we're gonna wait a little bit. Hopefully, try to find a little shade. We might actually have to wait behind the bus shelter to find that shade. But we'll have the camera running in the meantime, so you can watch the roadway and anything that might happen on the roadway, and also be able to see how long we are waiting for the bus today. All right. All right. So everybody, we're so Alicia's over here. I'm just telling the online viewers, but Alicia is bringing up some good some design contos for us to consider, and we're actually here on the bus. We didn't have to wait very long at all. It's nice and air conditioned. There's quite a few spots available. Looks like they've got some good, nice new flat screen TVs up at the top, giving us some advertisement as well as some notice of what's upcoming. But yeah, it feels good. It's a nice break from being out in the heat. Yeah, and it was free, and the service is going to remain free for the next, at least, I believe June 1st is when they're going to start charging again, at least at this time. But yeah, this was pretty easy for us to use, and we are going to get off at the stop nearest to the first meetup point.
He doesn't want it. The building doesn't want it. They hate it. It's a disaster. Why do they have their own exit for a little building that nobody even drives? And I think there's like maybe.
Well, you know what? Part of it is this building, so it's the left turn, the protected left turn, using this signal to get into that.
People do.
Yep.
Everybody goes wrong way. Goes south.
Oh, right. Yep, you mentioned that.
I'm saying 90% of the people come this way. You'll see it. Watch. Now this is turning right. Unless you have to go south. No. Watch. Oh, he just got a lie. Not a good example. I think he's
He
gonna do
might
it
have
anyway.
the opposite.
So these people, he's turning right. Look at how dangerous that was.
Yep.
He almost got hit right in front of our eyes.
Yep.
So these people have their own turn. These people don't. So these people have to go north 6 blocks before they can turn south. So if we put a legal U-turn right there at 49, they'll go 2 blocks, but they're not gonna go 6.
Yeah. All right, so thank you everyone for joining in. And if you're watching this live, again, yes, so thank you today for joining and watching all the way through. And if you're watching the recording, please provide us comments. If you see something that you want to share with us, or you want to make extra comments, we definitely encourage you to make those comments and provide them to us. But thank you again, and we are going to be out here again next week. And you can find more information on the project website. Thank you so much.
How do I turn back?